Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, I just got or ordered an from Ultra Sabers, custom lightsaber that I customized, and in celebration of that, I decided to do a little pros and cons video. Something to basically go over the pros and cons, why I prefer a curved hilt, and whatnot. Now, I am by no means an expert swordsman or anything like that. I'm just going basically by what I prefer. And it is by no means an expert opinion. So anybody who thinks I'm trying to do that sort of stuff, don't get your knickers in a twist. It's strictly amateur stuff. How you doing? Happy? Good to see you. And just basically doing a little lightsaber video, going over the different hilts that I have seen throughout Star Wars, and why are the pros and cons. So basically, everybody knows the normal hilt. Let's see here. Well, actually, I can use a cane. So I'm going to actually use a cane to do most of this. Now, the thing is, when you are a standard hilt lightsabers, where it's straight, so we're going to use the straight end here, is basically the most traditional. And while I understand it, basically use it like this, it has a good range of movement and whatnot. But I prefer the curved hilt because basically it's covered in Darth Bane Path of Destruction, where he is given a curved hilt lightsaber. Now, like I said, you got good range of motion and whatnot. But say you are studying Makashi, which is Form 2 lightsaber combat and whatnot, and it's basically for fencing. Now, there are some lightsaber duelists who do it well. Ki-Adi-Mundi had a straight or standard lightsaber hilt, but I would have preferred the curved hilt approach. And you could see that, or say you're doing fencing, which is basically what Makashi is. It's a fencing style, so to speak, not a outright sword style. Well, if you're going in for a thrust, well, you would have to turn your wrist or whatnot, or you would have to relax your grip on the handle, on the hilt. Now, if you have a curved hilt that allows for a different move or a different grip, it allows you to do better stabbing and parrying and thrusting. With a standard hilt, it's harder to do that. You're going to have to go back to get a good thrust and whatnot. Where curved hilt, you don't need to go back and push in. You could just jab in like that, basically. Now, a lot of people also like the double-bladed lightsabers, basically staff. So I'm going to use this shorter cane to basically go with staff. Now, the pros before I go into that though, I should give the pros and cons of both standard and curved. Now, the pros of the standard hilt are basically they're basically, it's a versatile weapon. The only the cons are you're limited by your movement, as with all other lightsaber hilts. It's just, it depends on wrist flexibility a little too much for my taste. So I'm going to go with the curved hilt. Now, the curved hilt does have a lot of pros. One, your lightsaber, like they describe in episode or in Path of Destruction or the Darth Bane novel, the blade is at an angle that's harder to anticipate, it's harder to adapt to, but it also can be a bane for the user. Bane, yeah, I know, Darth Bane. Now, if you use the curved hilt approach, yes, you're good at parrying and whatnot, but you also have to relax your grip, even when you are, especially in deflective motions and whatnot. So if you're holding your lightsaber like this, it's further forward. So yeah, it's further forward with the curved hilt. Where if you're holding it like this is the normal lightsaber. But yes, it can be at different angles. It's going to throw off and unbalance your opponent. And that's one of the reasons why curved hilt users were that good. They mastered a hilt that was good at unbalancing an opponent because, well, they had better angle attack or angles of attack and whatnot. But there are trade-offs. If you're going to, the lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi or Sith. Very true. Now, if you're going with the curved hilt approach, you can't always focus on, or you're basically going to have to stick to attacks. I mean, defense is all well and good, but the curved hilt doesn't really leave much. It also sacrifices mobility and flexibility. It doesn't give, but because it's also curved, you can have a better range of motion and whatnot. So yeah, having a curved hilt lightsaber is better in my opinion. Now, that does not mean that I am objectively correct, obviously, because, like I said, this is amateur hour, folks. I'm not an expert in any of this. But I do like the curved hilt better because it provides a greater range of motion and versatility, in my opinion. Now, moving on to the double-bladed, this is longer than a normal double-bladed lightsaber because, well, this is a cane. But basically, let's see here. Well, this is the best one that I can do, basically. But yes, everybody says the double-bladed lightsabers, more slaughter per swing and whatnot. And for the most part, it's a power weapon. You're basically using it you have more flexibility, or two blades better than one and whatnot. But it's also the most flawed design. You see, with a longer blade or a longer handle, you separate your grip, not necessarily like this, unless you are Exar Kun, which in that case you have a very dangerous weapon, because it was the standard, or his hilt was a standard hilt, but had two blades coming out, or one blade out of each end. So that was a very dangerous design, but he mastered it very well. Now, the thing with the double blade lightsabers with handles, you're separating the grips. This was shown in episode 1, where Obi-Wan got through the grip of Maul's lightsaber and sliced it in two. Now, also, yes, there's more power and whatnot, but you sacrifice range, or not range, but you sacrifice mobility of your own blade unless you are very skilled. And the opponent can anticipate your other blade every time you go on the attack. So if you are going with an attack like this, they know where your other blade is. It's back here. Everywhere a double-bladed lightsaber goes, or where one blade is, you automatically know where the other blade is because they're connected. That is the biggest flaw of a double-bladed lightsaber. Now, there's also the lightsaber Pike handle, where it's a lot longer, and basically you have our Kazdan Paratus from The Force Unleashed used a lightsaber Pike. Now, those are all pretty cool. It's a cool little design. It's basically like a spear lightsaber, but not really. The only problem is it is radically unwieldy. Basically, if you use a lightsaber Pike, you can use it as a melee on one side and the lightsaber on the other side, but you're also sacrificing a great deal of mobility and swinging power. Sure, you got a lot of swinging power because you can use you could stretch out your hands as far as you need to, but it's also a drawback because you have so much of the handle that a person can take advantage of. You also see it in Senya Taral's lightsaber in the Old Republic. It's hard to make lightsabers boring. Exactly, it is very hard to make lightsabers boring. I've seen so many different lightsabers. Yes, even from that crazy one from Rebels where Kanan has a stun blaster with a lightsaber, basically a blaster and a lightsaber in one. Cool thing is, though, he can't use both at the same time. So that's good that they actually created that flaw. Now, Kazdan Paratus' lightsaber, as I was saying, the problem is there's not a lot of mobility when it comes to a lightsaber Pike handle blade or hilt, because one, you're basically using it like a staff, but it still has the lightsaber blade on the end. So one, yes, you got greater range and whatnot, but you're still vulnerable and your weapon is vulnerable. Well, everybody knows that a lightsaber is a Jedi's life and whatnot. It's the same as with a Sith. Now, there's also the dual wielding. Now, there's two types of dual wielding. You got the dual wielders who can actually conjoin their hilts and split them apart and whatnot. Asajj Ventress's, or shall I say Kamari Vosa's hilts were dual wield, but they were also connectable. And they were curved hilts, so best of all three worlds. Now, the wonderful thing about the dual wield is you can have a Shoto, which is a short blade, and a long blade. Or you can go to long blades. Or if you're really freaking skilled and don't mind being up close and personal with your blades, you could do two dual Shotos. And that, to me, is gutsy, but if you're skilled enough, you could do it. I think the lightsaber has got to be expensive in the Star Wars universe. The parts are very easy to come by. I mean, in real life, the lightsaber costs a lot of money. I mean, the one that I just bought is, or thank God, Ultra Sabers has their deal going on till March 17th, where if you use a coupon code 15 all sabers, you'll get 15% off. And believe me, 15% off of a lightsaber that's over $500 is $77 off the main, or off the full price, which was a pretty good chunk of the money. I mean, hell, man, when I got that, or that lightsaber was around $520 that I'm getting, but with the 15% off, it knocked it down to like $439, which is pretty good. And I got a diamond saber, basically, the one, or this is a high quality one, and it's only a single hilt, but it's also a curved hilt because I love the curve. Black colored because, well, black's one of my favorite colors. I wish they could have allowed a black blade, you know, but yeah, it is what it is. Now, the wonderful thing is, I will do an unboxing when I have that, or when I get the lightsaber. I cannot wait. I am very excited about it. But I gotta wait. And they haven't sent me an email. I mean, they processed the order, but they have not sent me anything on when it's going to arrive. Now, this lightsaber, holy crap, it's like a 20-step customization on Ultra Saber's website. And I really liked it because they give you all sorts of different features, tools, and whatnot to basically make what is your good or what is your preferred lightsaber. Now, it's definitely going to be one that I'm going to show off. Like I said, I'm going to show that baby off, and I can't wait. Honestly, I really can't wait. Now, one of the things, but back to pros and cons, if you are dual blading is all well and good. Dual blades, you got more slaughter per swings, you can come at different angles and whatnot, but you are also weaker with your swings and with your defense. Now, sure, you can go like this to block and whatnot, but if you have two hands on your blade, you have a lot more strength behind your defense. So, with that being said, Shotos are all well and good, and they're short, so you can also, or say with a Shoto blade, that say above my hand here is the blade, you have shorter blade, so you could do all the fancy movements and whatnot, where you have this, or a full-size cane blade, well, yeah, not the same. How you doing, Kamen Rider? We're just basically going over the different types of lightsabers and their hilts, and I've covered basically almost all of them so far. Now, but I will do a brief recap, basically. Your standard is your standard. It's easy, it's versatile, but if you're doing something like fencing with a lightsaber blade, it makes it harder, because the only way you're going to have a thrusting grip or a thrusting move is if you relax your hand on the grip. You have to relax your grip, basically, on the hilt. Where, you can put a lightsaber on your shelf right on top of Thanos' gauntlet. My lights, I could, I guess, yeah. But I'm not going to hang it up there. That one, or my lightsaber is going to go off screen. But I will still have it with me when I do my live streams, because I like to show off. Now, again, with a curved hilt, for those just joining, curved hilts are the most versatile, in my opinion. You see, holding the blade like this is all well and good, but having that slight curve, you have an angle of your blade which is unpredictable, or which people are not used to, so you can go in at different strikes and whatnot. You also have a more versatile option with your grip. So if you have to go defensive, flip, or you can just roll the grip, and there you go. Where, because of its curve, you won't be able, or you'll just have to even go more on the defensive hold, where just flip the grip, there you go. You have more movement around your body with a curved hilt because of that curve. Depending on how steep the curve is, depends on how, or the mobility, but it also is with, or it also has its flaws. Basically, if you're trying to do straight stabs, like run somebody through, Well, with a curved hilt, that's not as easy as with it's not as easy with a straight hilt. If you have the straight hilt, you can go back further and to do a good drive in, where curved hilts are more for fencing, where you do thrusts and parries and whatnot. Now, I prefer curved hilts, like I said, but it still has its own flaws. Now, to do another brief recap on the double blades, they're good, more slaughter per swing, more power behind each blow and whatnot, but separation of the grip makes it easier to target your hands and whatnot. If you are a defensive person like Darth Zana, which was Bane's apprentice, she had a longer lightsaber grip or hilt, but she had shorter blades, which was basically a defensive mode. She was very defensive in her attacks or in her style. But yeah, the thing is, with a double blade, sure, you get more slaughter per swing, but the main difference, the main flaw is wherever this blade is, your opponent knows where your other blade is and can counter accordingly. So if you're going like this, chances are you're going to go like this. You know where the other second blade is. And that makes it flawed, and that also makes it predictable. This is explained in the novel Darth Bane: Path of Destruction. Bane had used standard hilts when he was practicing with practice blades and whatnot, but when he finally got his lightsaber from Master Kasim, how you doing, Ambassador? He was given a curved hilt, and I absolutely, like I said, that's my favorite kind of hilt. Now, I'm actually going to put the link so we can talk, or so I can, anybody who wants to come in, I'm actually going to copy the link and whatnot. So if you guys want to come in and we can talk about lightsabers and whatnot, here you go. Paste. So, yep, feel free to jump on in. And we could talk more about lightsabers and whatnot. What are your guys' preferences? Or I did that poll on Twitter. I was actually I should have put comment on each, or like explain why it is your favorite type. But you know, I tagged like almost 100 people, and you know what? I'm gonna actually check that poll right now. Let's see here. Why did I go to Facebook? Let's get out of Facebook and go to, there we go. Now, let's go to my profile. Oh yeah, that was wholly expected when I just noticed I no longer have 1,600 followers, but that's wholly expected. How you doing, Soul Assassin? Hope your religions and ancient weapons are no match for a blaster, or a good blaster at your side, kid. Very true, Soul Assassin, very true. So yeah, Ambassador, if you're still watching and you want to join in, come on in. And if anybody else wants to come on in, it's an open invite. But yeah, let's see the poll here. So far, standard is the most common, so obviously it would be winning. 61%. There's 38 votes out of, man, I tagged 1 million people. But you know what? Not everybody will pay attention. Curved hilt is still in second place. Awesome. With 16%. Double blade is 11%, so that's not the actual preferred method. And 13% is other with their comments. So yeah. And only 2 likes? Seriously? Oy. But yeah. Let's see here. And we got the ambassador. And we got Happy Dinosaur too.
Hey, Orange Hat, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Let me just get my headphones in. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. How are you guys? Everyone having a happy day?
Oh,
yeah, it hasn't been too bad.
I got my stimulus check today.
Nice. Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to use some of ours this weekend or anything for our anniversary because we both still work. So that's just extra money for us.
I still got my janitorial job.
Yep, I actually used a little bit of my stimulus check.
Mm-hmm. And Happy Dino, it's actually a pleasure to meet you. I don't think we've actually streamed together before, so howdy.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, here, let me put a face to the voice for just a hot second. So,
yeah. I like Soul Assassin's comment here. Soul Assassins. Alexa, never mind. What is she talking about?
Don't you just love Alexa?
She just started piping up on her own, man. But yeah,
a mind of its own, and it's going to start a nuclear apocalypse. You have to kill before it comes Skynet.
Standard or dual blades that combine into one. Thing is, Soul Assassin, Asajj Ventress's curved hilts actually did that.
Yeah,
plus there are other Jedi and Sith that did that too.
Yeah,
I mean that would actually be one of my preferred methods, is a curved double-bladed lightsaber. But I got mine, or the one that I got, and if again, I'm actually going to give a shout out to Ultra Sabers. Until March 17th, if you guys decide to get a saber, they're not cheap, but they're very good quality. That's why they're expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you want to knock off, 15% of the price, use a coupon code, which they allow or give you the option to do in your checkout. 15 all sabers, all one word, and it will not. I mean, yeah, I would have been paying like over $500 for the saber I got, but
a very good saber.
Yeah, after what I got, or after putting in that coupon code, it was, or they knocked it down to like $439, I think. So basically $440 bucks.
That's more money I make in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm also going to get a couple, or that was just one luxury that I'm getting. That's just a luxury that I wanted to get because I always wanted one of those damn things. I saw them all over the internet, so I was like, I want one, you know? And so the rest of the money I'm actually going to use a little bit more wisely.
And that's understandable, but yeah.
I got my cheese curls, Sean, but still, I do think it's nice that you're rewarding yourself. You do deserve a little something.
Yeah. I mean, I could have easily spent money on a desktop and all that. Sure, but the thing is, until I get better internet, I really don't feel the need to get a huge desktop that I would be able to fit on my desk over there. But also, unless I have better internet other than that crappy internet that my landlady has right now, because I live with my landlady to help look after the mentally handicapped people here. So she doesn't want to get stronger internet. So she's cheap. Yeah. Anyway, but so until I can get my own internet and whatnot, yeah, I'm not going to spend money on all the fancy equipment that all the other YouTubers have. No offense to anybody that has better equipment than I do. But
yeah. Orange Hat, to be honest,
it's just my cell phone. You're very lucky.
Yeah.
Well, Orange Hat, to be honest with you, I just work off of my laptop a decent webcam, and I'm going to begin to get some new Bluetooth headphones next couple of days. So I have good software, and it's a Hewlett Packard. It's a good laptop. So I'm not complaining.
I'm
But
actually
yeah,
thinking about getting a new laptop.
you should get you one with a decent
Because-
webcam built into it.
Yeah, that way I can also, or one that's based, or that's basically made for streaming and for videos and whatnot.
Yeah, so nice.
Also, that way I can do screen shares on, or that way I can actually do screen shares and whatnot. I'm not going to get Asus or another Asus one because, oh my gosh, that was just a horrible idea.
No, those things are only good for the medical field. They're not good for home use. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
user friendly.
Yeah, what would you guys actually recommend? What kind of laptops would you recommend?
Hewlett Packard or a Dell. Either one of those are very good.
I don't really know much about computers.
Well, I'm just Orange. I'm just telling you from what me and the missus use. I use a Hewlett Packard. She uses a Dell, and we're both very happy.
Yeah.
So we used to both have. We both used to have Hewlett Packard. No, wait a minute. I have a Dell. She has a Hewlett Packard. My bad. I think. But yeah, either way. Yeah, I have a Hewlett Packard. She has a Dell. So, but we used to both have HPs. And honestly, we're both very happy with them and everything, and they do what we need them to do. So I would recommend either one of those, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, game back to quote Star Wars, game back on target, stay on target. In terms of lightsabers, I know this is going back a ways into the EU for the Dark Horse comics. I know it wasn't necessarily very combat effective, but I love the design of the Proto Saber, the one that had the large battery pack that was you could wear
original.
The original that they wore around the waist.
First generation lightsaber.
The first generation lightsaber that actually had the cable that attached to the hilt. Now, moving forward into the modern era of Star Wars and Mara speaking, and in particular with all the games I played, in particular Knights of the Old Republic and so on, both of those, the first one and then Sith Lords, which actually I'm going to start stream gaming that one, everything off of Steam. I liked the dual wielding approach. The only thing I wished, although Ventress had not come into the picture yet by the time those games had come out, I wish you had had the capacity to craft a linked hilt double-bladed lightsaber. That would have also been really cool and everything. And I would not be honestly surprised if SWTOR and everything has that currently. I don't know if they do or not. But honestly, well, here's the thing. In Knights of the Republic, the Sith Lords, something that you could do with your lightsaber is you could customize the jewels in the hilt, in particular in a double blade and even a single blade lightsaber. And I think for the double blade, I could be wrong because it's been a while since I played this. I think you could have 2 or 3 different jewels and everything. One that dictated the color, one that dictated certain properties of the saber. If it was better at blaster fire deflecting, and then maybe better at a certain deflecting force powers or something like that. That was something that I also was very intrigued with. Now, in terms of like canon sabers, I would also say my all-time favorite is Darth Sidious's. I loved the design of Palpatine's saber, the hilt in particular. It was it had a sense of artisanship that I really respected, because this was a man who could afford the very best in terms of everything. And I imagine that he probably built his own saber, but there was just something about the design of that hilt. It just slid into the palm, and it had a grace and an elegance to it and everything when he used it, in particular when he was fighting Maul and Savage Opress, and even when he was fighting Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Even though you don't see his saber very often, this is the design and the aesthetic of it gave you the idea that this is a man that took pride in his skill and his ability as a lightsaber combatant.
It's funny you should mention that.
Well, and even
it's
though
actually funny you should mention it, because I'll actually get into something a little bit. But go ahead first.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is Sidious, Palpatine, and everything, he always felt that force powers were a more
effective thing to do.
a more effective means of combat. The only reason the Sith really carried a saber, in particular the rule of two Sith used sabers, it was almost as an insult or a slight at the Jedi. Because if you remember going back into the history of the ancient Sith, like those that came from the exiled Jedi during the Great Schism, they didn't have access to saber technology. It wasn't until the first great, I think, hyperspace war, the first great Sith war between the Sith and the Republic under Nagash Sadao, that they didn't have lightsaber technology. They used crystalline swords. And here's the thing. A lot of historians within the Star Wars universe and everything have said that those crystalline swords were much more effective than a lightsaber in a lot of ways. Now, granted,
actually, I've eaten a lightsaber before, and I will tell you the following things: it does not go down peacefully. It goes down where I can feel all my kidneys and organs cry from another planet.
But yeah, as Ambassador was saying, yes, the lightsaber.
Sorry.
What Ambassador was saying basically, the rule of two Palpatine, rule of two Sith were basically using lightsabers strictly to humble the Jedi or to mock them. And one of the things
we only use the lightsaber out of spite.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, yeah.
Palpatine, the thing about Palpatine's lightsaber before Clone Wars came along, if you look at his lightsaber, the artistry and the design of it, it's mostly made up of electrum, which is a metal in Star Wars. Now, electrum for a Jedi's lightsaber basically shows you how much or the state or the status of the Jedi Master, because only a Jedi Master can have electrum in their or on the hilt of their lightsaber. And Windu put electrum on his.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I don't think Yoda I don't even think Yoda even did that. But the lightsaber
he didn't.
The lightsaber Sidious used against Yoda was actually a holdout saber, because Palpatine lost his in the fight against Mace Windu. Now, one of the cool things is, I know he's not very popular with everyone else in certain communities, but Star Wars Theory, he did Shards Theory. Yeah, he did his Shards of the Past, and he's doing
guy who made Vader Shards of the Past.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to talk about that. Some of the stuff he's planning is Mace Windu is going to have a new lightsaber, and it's going to basically be almost all electrum, just to basically snide at Anakin, because what was the one thing Anakin wanted? To be a master. But one of the things that many people don't realize is he didn't care, or Anakin didn't care about the rank, so to speak. He only wanted the rank as a means to an end.
Yep, pretty much.
Because he wanted access to the forbidden holocrons. And it's like, yeah. So when they say we don't range, it's like, what? When he says, what? How can you do this? It's not, or it's outrageous. It's not fair. It's like, how can you? But here's the thing, and we are getting off on a little tangent here, but it's okay.
It's still Star Wars related.
Yeah, it's still Star Wars related.
Yeah.
So when he says, how can you be on the council and not be a master? All they really needed to do was say, ask Ki-Adi-Mundi over here. He was a knight when he was put on the council. He didn't automatically get the rank of master either. He had to earn it. And it's just ridiculous how if they would have just said that, it would have taken the wind out of his sails.
Probably.
Well,
Well, the thing you have to remember, and just a real quick comment to the chat and everything. Junebug Films, that sounds like an awesome design for a saber. I've never actually heard of a 4-bladed saber before, but that sounds legit, son. So I would love if you
Junebug.
Junebug. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter or not, but if you do, if you have the picture of that design, send it to me because I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it, man. So
definitely send me it too, man. If you're on Twitter, I think he is on Twitter.
He might be.
But,
I'm not sure.
The thing is, they actually created a design for Snoke's lightsaber, not officially or anything, but people speculated what it would be like, and it was basically has anybody seen Final Fantasy Advent Children?
I have it.
I
on
have
DVD.
seen playthroughs of Final Fantasy VII remakes.
Well, Kadaj, the Remnant, his sword is basically the kind of design that they had for Snoke's lightsaber. Basically, two lightsabers.
It was two sabers side by. It was two sabers, two blades side by side.
Yes, kind of like what you see with the Dark Ray Vision, where you see those two lightsabers, and like Pong Krell's lightsabers, if he when he didn't extend them. And that's the thing. Oh my gosh! Do not take what I'm about to say as defending the Disney canon or defending Disney Star Wars or anything. But
go on with yourself, son.
Your words are safe.
Yeah, when a lot of people were banging on that lightsaber that they showed in the trailer with the Dark Ray lightsaber, the one that slides open, a lot of people are like, "What's this crap that Disney just created?" It's like Disney didn't create it. Disney probably saw that from Pong Krell in the Clone Wars.
Probably.
Because if you pay attention to those lightsabers that he has, they open up.
I saw a lightsaber very similar to that when I was channel surfing and came across Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah. It's just, how can you... that's when you can tell that people were just hating on Disney to hate on Disney. And it's like... and here's for the right reasons.
And here's the thing. I recognized where they had gotten the design for that saber, and that was from Pong Krell from Clone Wars. I was like, and even not to mention that the Jedi Temple guards, they carry that same design of a saber that flipped out into the dual blade. So you know what? It didn't. Thing aside, I mean, you, Orange Hat, you and me, we reviewed Rise of Skywalker the night after I went and saw it. So, putting aside all of that nonsense and all that,
I'm waiting until I get to 100 subs to review The Last Jedi.
Dude, do whatever you like on your channel. That's the thing, man. You can literally do whatever you want on your channel, and because people know you so much, I'm surprised you don't. Or how many subs do you have on your channel right now?
I'm 29.
You should have way more than that.
Yeah, Happy Dino. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter or not. If you are on Twitter, my Twitter handle is.
I got a new account because I got a new phone today, and I guess my old one broke. I fell down.
Never seen an ultraviolet lightsaber before. The staff name.
But
name I created
Happy.
I think he meant Sith name, and he was a Wookiee. Nice.
A Sith, a Wookiee Sith. Cool. Happy Dino.
We will get into that.
Yeah. Now here's the thing about that. His was the first canonical, EU canonical double-bladed lightsaber, because he took inspiration from his master's. The staff that his master Bodo Boss and everything used a wooden bow staff and everything as his primary weapon. He did have a lightsaber, but Bodo Boss used a bow staff and everything. And basically what Exar Kun did is he's like, okay, I'm going to flip the script on these Jedi that are trying to hide things away from me. And he essentially crafted the first literally, quite literally, the first
Hilt.
double-bladed lightsaber. Even though it was not red-bladed like most Sith sabers are, it was, I think, blue. It was a blue blade. It was, in fact,
blue.
yeah. It was the first. It was the first time that Star Wars, and this was well before I think Phantom Menace and everything came out. And I would wager that Lucas probably took inspiration from the Dark Horse comics and everything for Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. Here's another
inspiration from a lot of things for the prequels, like
oh yeah,
like things you saw on television, things you seen in
adapted. Well, and here's
quite interesting where you get inspiration from.
So, well, here's the other interesting thing about Darth Maul and everything. And I think I've talked about this previously, but not everybody may have heard this. There is actually from Star Wars Tales, when Dark Horse owned the rights to everything, they would do a comic series called Star Wars Tales. And it would just be short stories and everything. It would be, yeah, I did too. I have the one particular issue that I'm about to mention. Sidious had sent Maul on an assassination mission to kill a very powerful Jedi who had gone into I don't want to say exile, but he had gone into self-isolation and everything. And Sidious was very worried about this particular Jedi Master. So he sent Maul to this far-off planet and everything to kill this Jedi Master. Maul sneaks up on the Jedi Master, and the Master whips his ass with a bow staff. Very easily. And Maul returns to the infiltrator, and he's like, I've got to one-up this guy. And that's when he gets the inspiration, because I imagine he probably got inspiration from some Sith holocron or something about Exar Kun, but also the fact that this Jedi Master, whipped him with a wooden stick. So, but essentially, he crafted the double-blade lightsaber, went off, and defeated that Jedi Master. He returns to Sidious, and Sidious says, I foresee this weapon being well-known and feared throughout the galaxy. And Maul is like, no. Like me, it is nameless.
Yeah.
It is a tool to be used. Ergo, it is nameless. So that's how they explained the backstory on, because originally, at least in the EU canon and everything, Maul had originally just crafted a single blade lightsaber like everybody else, but he realized he needed to.
Do not believe in trademarks.
Sure, they don't.
So
I mean, some with egos do, but some don't.
So, but that was the great thing about Maul and everything, particularly with the EU, that they were able to flesh out Maul's character and so on, and it was just so
writers and a lot of good time.
Yeah, honestly. Well, this is another story that I've talked about previously. I think it was done, in between or before Phantom Menace, and it was called Darth Maul, and it was just called simply Hunter. And essentially what happens, and this kind of ties into the final season of Clone Wars, Sidious sends Maul to destroy the Black Sun, or destroy the leadership of the Black Sun.
Yep.
And I think most everybody remembers the prominent role that the Black Sun played in the EU in particular. With the story of Shadows of the Empire. And Maul is essentially like Maul asks Sidious, do you want me to wipe them out entirely? He's like, no, don't do that. He's like, just wipe out the leadership, leave the rest of them alone. Because he's like, I may have use for them down the road, which keeps with continuity, because obviously the Black Sun still exists down the road and everything for Shadows of the Empire to take place.
Yes, the Black Sun's down the road. They keep stealing my television.
So, but essentially, for those of you that may not remember Shadows of the Empire, one of the major storylines within that is the fact that Palpatine enlists Prince Shizor, who was the head of the Black Sun at the time, to help in the construction of the second Death Star, because Palpatine realized the Imperial military wasn't going to be able to, and all the contractors weren't going to be able to do cover all their bases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, someone else speak.
Sorry, 1 second. God damn it. Sorry. Just read something that was pertaining to my state right now. But yeah.
Oh, you have my pity.
Yeah. Our governor. But back to Star Wars.
Yeah.
We were talking about lightsabers, hilts, and blades and whatnot.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also, or that I actually wanted to touch on with Soul Assassin with what he said was light whips. Now, everybody knows Lumia, if you know the EU.
Yes.
She was a badass. She had 9 flanges on her light whip. Some of them weren't even lightsaber energy. They were basically energized cord or just or just electricity or flange or just regular flanges. Now, there's another woman from the EU. Her name is Githani or Githani.
Yep, that's the one
from Darth Bane. She had a single flange whip, but it was still a powerful thing. Now, if the wonderful thing about lightsaber whips is, well, they're pliable. They are not solid and rigid. So having a lightsaber whip is all well and good, but if you know how to defend against it, which we actually see in the Clone Wars with Anakin versus Dooku during the slave arc, where Anakin picks up an energy whip, not a light whip, but an energy whip, and he tries using it against Dooku, and Dooku's like, just one move here, one move here, one move here, and it's like, yeah, you're not getting anywhere. So while one blade or one whip flange, or their flanges, is well and good, Lumia was, you get anywhere near her with her light whip, anywhere near her, you better have a Shoto, or what most people know as a short blade lightsaber.
Just like Luke
now, yeah, as I was pointing out earlier in the stream before I allowed others to come on, a Shoto is good to have because it's more maneuverable and whatnot. And if you look here, let's say here, standard hilts, right above my fingers here are where the hilt ends and the blade begins. Basically, you can do a lot more maneuverability with the hilt and whatnot. Where if you do that with a standard lightsaber length blade, well, you're going to stab yourself and you can't really get it in there. So, yeah, just as I just showed. So, with all that in mind, hold on 1 second. Just knocked my own headphones out. Hold on. I figured there were like real whips. Gotta watch for that recoil. Yes, that's also another thing. I mean, the best way to handle a light whip is to be constantly in motion, but also to understand your weapon. And that is one thing that Lumia knew very well. But once Luke pulled out that Shoto, it was a whole different game because he had 2 methods, or one blade for offense and one for defense. Now, I've actually, I can't remember where I saw it, but I've seen people use, or I saw a Jedi use 2 Shotos, basically. And I can't remember exactly where it was.
It wasn't Ahsoka. It wasn't Ahsoka in Clone Wars, was it, by chance? Because we know she used a Shoto.
Yeah, she used 1 Shoto. She didn't use 2.
Okay. She didn't use 2.
Or the person I was thinking of, I think it was actually in a game because somebody, or they had it, or they customized a Shoto blade and just used 2 of them. I'm like, why? Well, because my Jedi is a weapons master, and it's like, okay. And thing is, that would be something that a weapons master would do. They always had a they always had a different or a style that or was unorthodox, basically. And weapons masters basically mastered all 7 forms and also mastered all the different styles of lightsabers. That is a true weapons master.
Yeah.
And that practice wasn't in Star Wars. But also, I do want to get back to Exar Kun's lightsaber, because the wonderful, or very unique thing about his lightsaber, and I'm going to use my katana as basic, or as the example. When he had his lightsaber built, the double-bladed one, he had it built a standard hilt length, meaning this length here, folks. The grip and the blade came out at the other end. Where if you have, I'm going to set that down, where you have a double-bladed hilt, you can separate your grip a little bit. Now, Exar Kun was very dangerous with his blade because he didn't have that separate option. He had to hold it like this to wield it, and that is extremely limiting with your options of mobility and blade use. But he was considered extremely dangerous, and the Jedi actually locked away his lightsaber, because if anybody touched his lightsaber, it's basically almost an instant dark side turn. His lightsaber was literally cursed.
Yep.
Because they feared it and they feared it that much. But yeah, let's get back to the chat. Real Lab's gonna watch for that recall. I remember hearing something about a lightsaber club. I actually remember hearing about something like that too. He unsheathed his katana blade. Now he can't sheath it until it tastes blood. Oh, trust me. There are times I wish I could, but I'm not homicidal. But back to Star Wars and stuff. What are my preferred blade? Like I said, is the curved approach, and that's the kind that I actually ordered from Ultra Sabers.
Nice.
Yep. If you actually go to their website, look up the Mantis Split or the Mantis Hilt, they have 3 different ones. It's a gray lightsaber hilt, a red lightsaber hilt, and the black lightsaber hilt, or is it a blue lightsaber? But anyway, I got the black one, but I also got hilt claws, basically because, well, I'm a Sith. And the wonderful thing is, if I wanted to, I can actually detach these claws from the emitter guard, basically. They're just basically emitter claws. Kind of like what Dooku had with his emitter guard. Now, one of the cool things is, and I'm going to use my cane here, the hooked cane, as reference, I absolutely loved Episode 2 back when I was younger. And I still do. I actually like Episode 2 of Star Wars. When you saw Count Dooku pull out his lightsaber, most of the time when a person ignites their lightsaber, their hand's like this. Or if they go it down, I'm going to actually have to stand up for a moment. So hold on one second.
Yay, Orange Hat is standing. Yay.
Well, it's necessary. So let's see here. Basically, when he ignited his lightsaber, he didn't go down like this or like this. He basically had it go almost straight down. And I'm like, how does he do that with that saber? And it was just so interesting. And let me get my headphones back on so I can hear people. But yeah, it was just so interesting how his lightsaber worked. And I had always had a fascination with it ever since, because his blade or his lightsaber hilt was truly the most unique out of everything that he showed, even though it's also the most hated by Master Yoda, because there are some, or I look at their Star Wars Reading Club. He's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He covers some great stuff, like why Yoda hated Count Dooku's choice. Hold on. Hold on, guys. I think something's happening.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Happy dial.
Keep the video going.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we can do that.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
can do it.
Well, and to pick up where Orange Head and everything was talking about, the reason I don't know the exact reason why Yoda disliked Count Dooku's saber, but just talking about his saber, that curved hilt, that was a different style than we had seen before. But I think one of the other reasons,
Of course, it is a different. We saw very few lightsabers in the original trilogy.
yeah, very true. I mean, and if you think about it, the majority of the Jedi's sabers were very utilitarian in nature. They weren't very they weren't very artistic.
They weren't very artsy. They were more just practical.
Yeah. And okay. Go ahead.
What were you guys talking about?
We were talking about Count Dooku's saber. So you go ahead.
Lightsabers.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Lightsaber. Curved soul says on here. Curved lightsaber got you down. There's a pill for Jesus Christ. Soul assassin, man.
Well, if it lasts longer than 4 hours, you might want to consult with your licensed weapon maker.
That's just bad.
Yeah, but it's funny. So I can appreciate it.
I can open this up a little bit. Get some more light in here. There we go.
Ooh, sorry.
Oh, but yeah, there is a star last night that was like so big and red, and I'm thinking it's Mars, but oh my God,
it's Mars.
But it wasn't anywhere near the moon, which they said in these couple days Mars is closer to the moon. But you also got Saturn and Jupiter too.
It might have been, but if it's red, it's probably Mars.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's about to attack.
Yak.
Yeah, going back to have you guys had enough?
Yes.
Getting back to Dooku and whatnot, Star Wars Reading Club actually did the video where Yoda was not happy with his choice because it was from an older time, the curved approach, as that droid that what's his name, or David Tennant, did a freaking killer job doing the voice of. And it just knocked my damn headphones out again. But he's like, what would you prefer? The normal method? The curved approach? But yeah, Yoda didn't like it because it was strictly meant for saber-to-saber combat, and also Dooku had this obsession of, or thinking that the dark side of the Force was coming back and that Sith were coming back and whatnot. So, God damn it, now she had to get back to me right now while I'm live. Well, you're going to have to wait, honey. Yes, I have a lady friend.
Or we can keep the chat busy while you talk to your girlfriend. Mute your mic.
Yeah, good idea. You guys keep the chat busy for a second.
For a hot second. That's what she said. Sorry.
Right.
I'm not usually this inappropriate.
She said.
But yeah,
well, it's all right. We're on YouTube. YouTube is that's all right.
Here's the thing, and I can understand because I've Happy Dino. I don't know if you've read the novelization of Revenge of the Sith or not, but yeah, Dooku had this thought in his head and everything. I guess this was something
I'm trying to find that book.
You honestly, it's a very good novelization and everything. It gives a lot more detail and so on. One thing in particular that they bring up, and it's at the beginning of the book, is this Palpatine's fed Dooku this idea that once the Republic is fallen and the Jedi are destroyed or whatever, Dooku's going to be the head of a new Force Academy for Sith or something like that. And that's why Dooku went back to a more more elegant design for his particular saber and so on, because he was going to. Well, not to mention the thing you got to remember about Dooku. Yes, he was a Jedi. Now he's a fallen Jedi, but he was also from a. He was from nobility. He was from a
He's
particular planet.
he's a very elegant figure. He's very distinguished. It's sort of like having
Yeah.
like a chief
Okay.
of police is turned on me a mobster.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh, today was just such a busy day. But then I decided to call my bank and I found out I had my stimulus check, and I'm like, yes.
Fuck yeah.
To quote Monty Python, the Holy Grail, and there was much rejoicing.
Yeah.
Yay!
I mean, I've been wanting a Force or Ultra Saber for a long time, but now that I finally had enough money to frickin' afford one at one time, because yes, folks, I'm an impulsive spender, and it's hard to save money. So you can imagine my glee when I had money today. And believe me, I only have enough to basically get me through the month with the rent I got to pay, the bills I got to do, and all that stuff. So I only have like $300 to my name after all bills are paid. So yeah, it's not saving up money.
Soul Assassin, it should be blue pill for unlimited power.
Power! Yeah.
We have the power.
Unlimited
power.
Believe me, guys, I actually created a. Now we're gonna get into some nerdy stuff, like fan fiction stuff that I did. I was actually a part of a Star Wars RP group chat on Facebook, and basically, yeah, I kind of god modded my Sith. He was like Tenebrae, but he survived longer. And this was like 300 years after after Return of the Jedi, so all the Skywalkers are dead, and it's basically a revival of the Sith Empire versus the New Republic and whatnot. So my Sith was basically the Emperor and whatnot, and he would often reminisce about some of his or how he was able to dispatch Jedi a lot easier, or they're just too easy nowadays, but back then they were harder at sometimes. But even as he got stronger in the Force, he was able to conduct a lot more brutal methods when he came across Jedi, because there's one point where he came across like 13 Jedi to bring him in, knights and masters, all basically. And one of the things is there's a funny thing about money here. One moment and gone the next, yeah. But my Sith has a thing where he basically collects a lot of lightsabers.
Kind of like Grievous, only he deserved it.
Yes, and he also customizes each one for different things. He has a Krayt Dragon Pearl in one lightsaber. He has a Toxic Crystal in another. And all of them have different features, basically. But when 13 Jedi came up against him, basically ready to bring him in, he's basically talking to them, doing a little bit of witty banter, keeping them talking while they're focused on all of that. They're not noticing the subtle movements in the Force where he's setting up every lightsaber he has behind every one of their backs. And the Jedi that he was talking to is like, I'm a weapons master. You don't stand a chance against me. And especially with these Jedi behind me. And so then I'm just like, okay. Activated all the lightsabers, killing all the Jedi. And I'm like, what Jedi? And he looks back and sees that all of them were dead, and I'm like, you see, that was your main problem. You talk too much.
Yeah, that was the problem about the Jedi. They did talk way too much.
Yeah, my Sith, it's like, While you're talking and being stupid, I'm basically plotting every conceivable way to kill you without you even noticing. I mean, my Sith had enough, or has enough power. He could turn Tatooine into a glass planet if he wanted to.
So basically, you pretty much God modded.
God modded. Yeah, I God modded my damn Sith.
you got basically you God modded Darth Nihilus, because Darth Nihilus could destroy planets himself.
Yes, he could, but he fed off of them, where mine did not necessarily need to feed off of planets and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, now that we are actually going to now start to discuss Sith, because
I've actually seen that anime.
Yeah.
Jonathan's talking about.
We're actually going to discuss some of the Sith. Now, Nihilus basically was on the path to immortality, but he required to feed in order to sustain it. Where Vitiate, Valkorian, Tenebrae, whichever you choose to call him by, he didn't. Yes, he had to do a ritual that wipes out a planet's power and feeds off of it, but he didn't have to feed constantly. Where Nihilus was a vampire, basically.
Technically a
Tenebrae was more, yeah, so to speak. Where Nihilus was a vampire, Tenebrae was basically, would be considered an elder vampire, so to speak, where they don't have to feed as often as a newborn vampire, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But the older Sith are all more powerful than the newer Sith, and which we have the Sith showdown coming up next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday.
Yep.
And basically, it's going to be the same panel, except that we might also have Lethal Lightning on that one. So it's going to be 5 or 6 instead of 5. So we're going to have Ryan Kennel. We're going to have OG. We're going to have, I believe you were on that one too, right?
Yep.
The last one? Yep. You were on the last one. And who was the other one?
I honestly don't remember. And I don't mean to say.
God damn it, now I have to go back into my own videos. I hate doing that. But
okay. It was myself, Frank Kennel, OG.
It was you, Ryan, me, OG.
Mm-hmm.
And God damn it, who was the other one? That's fuck it. I'm going phone. Dang it.
Going in.
I gotta I'm gonna drive myself nuts until the end of the stream.
I'll look it up for you.
Unless
don't worry.
Unless it's like cripe.
How
many people am I? Oh geez, I'm going against EVS or Ripa and a bunch of other people right now. So it's like no wonder. But go to my library.
EVS isn't that impressive.
Yeah, I got bored with him.
To be honest, no shade against EVS, but you're right. I'm not really that interested in comic books.
Honestly, the only comic book channel I watch is Comics Explained with Robert Pattinson or Pierce.
Robert Jefferson.
Oh, what is it? Jefferson, yeah. And Second Street. That's the only two I really watch with any regularity.
I watch basically.
I don't go.
That's who we had. Jeez.
Yeah, that was the because he's more of a gamer than he is a YouTuber, but he does have a channel, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And if he doesn't want to be in this one, which I think he does, but if he doesn't, I'll have Mara Jade on standby.
I'm pretty sure. I think Nihilus said he did want to be on that last one. I could be wrong.
Yeah. But if he can't show up, I'll have Mara Jade take his place. I mean, Mara's also, or she's been a part of the stuff going, or she's been in two of my versus streams. Lethal helped kick the shindig off along with Mara and a couple others. And I still think, while the Xenomorph army versus Mandalorian army was a good one, I still think Goku versus Superman was better, but this one has potential to be even way better.
Well, I think one of the first ones I was on, that was Joker versus
Yep, it was
Bullseye.
Yep,
that was
one.
that was a fun one too, honestly.
Oh yeah,
But
because honestly, it's hard to predict which or how that would go, but still, a lot of people thought, even with all that adamantium on.
Guys, I gotta go now. Have a happy day.
All right, take it easy,
All right.
Happy. Thank you for stopping in, buddy.
Yeah, Happy, good to meet you.
But yeah, even with all that adamantium strips on his skeleton, frickin' Joker would still be able to beat him.
Well, duh. Yeah. Hello.
It's like you just can't. Joker's hard to beat, man. Joker freaking beat Superman, but he also lost his life afterward.
Yeah, but
And I'm talking the Injustice arc, folks. I mean, he beat Superman, not through strength and whatnot. He did what frickin' Lex Luthor couldn't. He got Superman to go so low that he went evil. And it's like, yeah, but this one, Vitiate versus Legends Palpatine, because if it's Disney canon Palpatine, well, let's face it, he'd get his ass whooped.
Well, he only appears in one movie, so I don't even count it.
Yeah.
Because
now actually 2 movies, because they did put him in, or they edited him into episode or Empire Strikes Back.
Well,
Wait,
yeah, but that was Lucas.
Yeah. Lucas did that after episode 3 came out. But yeah, he was in the original trilogy, and well, he was obviously in 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. Well, I mean, I did this was back last year when I started my channel. I had done a video on the great villains of the night. Hey, Kaylee, good to see you. You pop up everywhere, it seems like. I had done a video.
He's on Facebook. He does he's in the Fandom Menace Legion.
I don't worry about hashtags. I just worry about a person's character. I'm weird that way.
And the next one after the Sith showdown, everybody still thinks it's a gimmick or a joke. I'm not kidding when I'm putting Rey up against Valen. I'm putting the Mary Sue, Disney's shining golden girl, up against somebody who everybody's right. Valen would wipe the fucking floor with her. But probably. I'm going to give, and I'm going to announce when I first start this stream, or when I first start that stream in June, I'm going to say flat out, folks, this isn't a joke, and whatever I am saying in this stream, do not take it as me defending Disney. I am simply going by what we know off of Disney.
Which ain't much.
Exactly. I mean, we know that fucking Rey can just basically touch somebody and automatically she knows everything.
Keely Chow's like, Ahsoka will wipe the floor with her. Yeah, obviously.
Thing is, and Ahsoka would also, or OG has a good theory that Ahsoka is basically going to be a Force goddess.
And I could probably, I mean, maybe she takes the place of the daughter from the Mortis gods.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, because that owl that everybody notices,
the Morai,
that is associated with the Morai owl, is associated with the daughter.
The daughter, yep, pretty much. Yep.
So even though the daughter was more of a Griffin lover than anything else.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. If something you notice about the Mortis arc, none of the Mortis gods, as Palpatine refers to them as in Rebels and everything towards the end, they don't use lightsabers at all. They use
they can deflect them.
They use to the menace. I think it's called the
to the minus.
To the menace or to the minus. Yeah. Basically, it's energy deflection and everything.
You absorb its energy and you can reflect it back.
essentially. Yeah.
Satele Shan did
Well-
it against Malgus.
Yeah, I remember the I remember what you're talking about. The
That is one of the coolest cinematics too.
all the cinematics for when they launched SWOTOR were so good.
I know,
And
but
I've heard
they haven't done any more cinematics, and I'm like, do more cinematics. You got Onslaught for Christ's sake. You got Jedi Onslaught and all those other ones that you just released. Do more cinematics. But they're not doing them.
Kamen Rider's like Darth Vader versus M. Bison. That'd be interesting.
Interesting. I might actually do it, but I'm not sure. I'm still. But the thing is, you know what, Kamen Rider? If you're on Twitter, my my pinned tweet on my thing or on my profile is for suggestions for June or the second versus stream or versus streams after that. So definitely submit that suggestion if you're on Twitter to my suggestion.
I think they are, because I think they came in. I think you follow me on Twitter. If I'm wrong, correct me, and if you don't, go ahead and give me a follow. So, but yeah,
chat. How you guys all doing?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you know, we've kind of gone off on a big tangent here.
Well, we've already covered basically all we need to about Hilts, so we can go on. We can go off, or it's now just open talks and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, you know, something that is. This is something that I've come to realize in the aftermath of the sequel trilogy, and I think it's something a lot of people are starting to realize as well. The sequel trilogy was a missed opportunity. It was a wasted opportunity in a lot of ways.
Indeed, it was.
You know, I know there are certain YouTubers and maybe just people in the general Star Wars and maybe just in the general public who liked The Force Awakens or didn't like The Force Awakens. I was about 50-50 on the fence. I thought it had potential to set up something interesting.
It did.
My only main gripe was the fact that they split Han and Leia up. That was really my only legitimate gripe with The Force Awakens, is that they split Han and Leia up instead of them staying together. Because honestly, I would have loved to have seen, okay, maybe they had some troubles and everything in their marriage or whatever, but they ultimately stayed together. So, you know, and a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people I've talked to have said this. The Last Jedi was a giant brick that just absolutely smashed any continuity or any potential that the sequel trilogy had to be good. And, you know, a lot of people said, well, Rian Johnson's such a great writer or director. Look at Knives Out. I'm like, I don't care about Knives Out. If I want to watch a Who's Done It, I'll go back. I'll watch Clue, or I'll watch Murder by Death, which is another great 80s cult Who's Done It film that's kind of in the same vein of Clue. And, you know, this is something that's been talked about ad nauseum. His conduct on Twitter and online and everything, all the crap that he has said towards the Star Wars fandom and whatnot. It's just, it turned people off so drastically to the sequel trilogy that, yeah, as the hashtag goes, Solo lost money. So it's just, it breaks my heart in a lot of ways what the sequel trilogy could have been, and ultimately was completely and utterly wasted because of bad ideas, poorly executed ideas, and not being able to rein in a manner of speaking, the people that were associated with the film, and those people throwing shade at the fandom and everything, just because the fandom didn't like what had been done with these characters that have been a part of the pop culture landscape for 30 and 40 some odd years. And it's just, it breaks my heart. I mean, I wanted to like the sequel trilogy. I really did. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up in a little bit because
Oh, that's fine. That's
one
fine.
of the clients is actually getting sick. So
Okay, well, if you need to wrap
not
it up, we can
not
wrap it
COVID
up
sick.
right
So
now.
yeah, we are gonna wrap it up because I do gotta go downstairs and alert the
Well,
landlady.
you got to do your thing, dude.
So
So,
yep. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. Keely,
Yeah.
Kamen Rider, Junebug, Ambassador.
Yep.
Who else? Soul Assassin. Oh, thank you for modding again, Soul Assassin. You are freaking amazing and beautiful people. Who else did we have in here? Happy Dinosaur. Thank you for him for dropping by.
Yep.
But yeah, folks, if you catch this on the replay, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What your preferred lightsaber hilt is, not your lightsaber blade, but your lightsaber hilt. And let me know all your thoughts on the stuff that we have discussed afterward.
Yep.
And stay tuned for the live stream or for the next versus stream. Not this Friday, but next Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where it's going to be Darth Sidious versus Darth Vitiate, which is the EU Emperor, the immortal Emperor of the Sith. And 2 weeks after that one, we are bringing in the Mary Sue, thanks to a suggestion from Jane Theory. We're bringing in Mary Sue Palpatine. Yep. And we're pitting her up. It's basically Battle of the Emperor's Daughters. So you're going to have Valen, daughter of Valkorion, versus Rey. And even though we all know who the real winner is, we're still going to hash it out. And because I don't think I'm going to find anybody to be pro Rey in this panel or in the panel, I will actually defend Rey. Not Disney, but I am going to defend her from what Disney has shown. So do not take it as me defending Disney, but I am going to make an argument for Rey's character just because, you know, I take suggestions seriously, and I will do them if I feel that the fight is even enough. And in this case, well, she is such a Mary Sue, I think that it would actually be a decent fight. Anyway, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And, you know, oh my God, Jason Solo versus Ben Solo. That actually would be a decent fight too, but we're not going to get into that one. Anyway, folks.
Contest.
Yeah, it truly is a no contest, but yeah. Raw power versus power that has been honed and whatnot. Yeah, it's no contest. But anyway, folks, thank you all for stopping in. Keely as well. Soul Assassin, all of you. You all are amazing and beautiful people. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.